Hi everyone, my name is Mark Ironson and this is Patch Research 2. And I thought what I'd do is show you how to layer up your research. We're not spending any money even now. We've found the ASDA, we've discovered where the lower demographic area is in the town, in the city. We've excluded the Bronx on the last module, so you know how to do that now. What we're going to do is just layer up our research. And the reason for layering up is just to make sure we're in the right place. So on this slide I've shown a picture of, I'm sure you've seen these stores before, an Aldi and a Lidl and a Cash Converters and that weird looking, odd looking pub. Now on the patch on the ground, what Aldi did when they came over to this country in the late 80s, early 90s, what they actually did was they sited their stores in lower demographic areas. So you can use Aldi and Lidl as research for yourself. Now they do the research too, they know where their customers are, they're not they're smart people, they're smart companies. So there's a caveat to this, in that Lidl, what they did was, during the crash, all of the kind of people that did the shopping in a household, they realised that the vegetables in Aldi were actually the same as Waitrose, and they're actually good value because they're vegetables. So the Aldi upped their demographic of customer. That's really quite, I mean, it was noticeable that there was more veg in Aldi and stuff. So the newer stores, discount them from your research. It's the older stores that are cited in the low demographic areas from the 80s and 90s. That's the key one. So we've got an Asda in the patch. We've got a Lidl or an Aldi close by or actually in the patch itself. And then I'm sure you've all heard of the store called Cash Converters. Well, Cash Converters, that's a pawnbroker's store. Now, if we're doing research, we don't count the pawnbrokers in the town centre because those stores are actually, they're serving the whole community, the whole town. What we'll do is use the pawnbrokers outside of the town centre in the patch because they're serving a specific part of the community. Now, you can go on Cash Converters' website, they've got 220 shops nationwide, all of them are cited there. So you can actually use the website to find yours. Then another little bit of research, we're now layering up the research, all these little trigger points are building our patch for us. And the next one is the Working Man's Club. Quite often these are visible from outside, as in they've got a great big Sky Sports banner on the front of them. And it's a Sky Sports banner because when the people in the patch get cut off from the Sky, they go to the pub to watch the football. And it's a dead giveaway for a BMB patch. So hope those are helping you layer up your research now. And this next slide is just showing gambling, what it looks like on the TV. That's the glamorous image of gambling, but you can see on the other two photos that actually that's what it looks like in real life. And where do they place betting shops? Lower demographic areas. And this bottom right picture on the slide it's actually Kilburn High Street. And Kilburn's it's a blue collar area, it's a lower demographic area. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 betting shops in the space of about 50 metres. That's an ideal patch, and we've actually got a guy in Kilburn. He doesn't actually work the high street, he works 3, 4, 5, 6 streets back either side of the high street, and it's a working patch. So it's cracking research, completely free of course, just look for where they are. Now I'm just going to show you the patch again on this slide, and I'll actually, if you can see the top circle has got that's where the pawnbrokers are. Those two little circles together at the top, that's the Working Man's Club, and that's the Cash Converters, and then we've got the Aldi and the Lidl there, and then those 3 circles in the middle of the patch, that's where the betting shops are, among parades of shops of laundrettes and post offices. So this is now starting to look like a BMB patch, an ideal place to start the business. On this next slide, all we're doing is layering up, again, research completely free still. The auto manufacturers have you believe that all garages look like this slide, glass gleaming, glass fronted, gorgeous buildings full of brand new, shiny, sparkly cars. But in reality on the patch, it's the second-hand garages that are there. The old petrol stations are used as forecourts. They've taken the tanks out and they've loaded up cars as tightly packed as they can get them in. It's the older cars. It's the ones credit accepted no matter what your history, and all of those sorts of signs. 0% down and weekly payments, that sort of thing. So that's the kind of research we're doing there. And again, it's just layering up to form our patch. Now, another thing is in the patch, quite often we've got one of these at high streets, and at the top of the patch on the map you might have seen earlier, that one of these almost high streets has got all of the grocers have got the vegetables on the street, on the pavement, and it's bustling. There's prams and pushchairs and stuff, and it's a busy street where you've got to kind of stop in between cars to let people by. This is all research for your patch. The last bit of the research, and this is, bear in mind we haven't spent any money yet, is graffiti. Now, you don't find graffiti in rural areas, and you don't find it in the cul-de-sacs and the semis and the detached houses or the big mansions. You don't find it in those sorts of areas, generally speaking. You find it in lower demographic areas. So have a look for the graffiti. Don't look for the nice stuff that's on underground trains and stuff, all the nice glorious. And don't look for Banksy, because we're not going to find him. It's just the scruffy, horrible stuff on roller shutter doors in the areas. And Rob Moore's got a scale, I think he uses it in one of his presentations, from 1 to 10. 1 being the Bronx, horrible. 10 being Manhattan Island, which is really expensive to get in. Now, we avoid the two extremes because Manhattan Island, incredibly expensive to get in, and it's hard to trade. The bread and butter investor stock is way down the line because Manhattan's too expensive to get in, and it takes a lot. So 50, 60, 70,000 cash in the bank just to get in there. Number one, you get problem tenants and you get stuff nicked and damaged properties. So we stay out of number one. So we're going to come up just a little bit. 2s and 3s are where we need to be. So hope that helps. Once you've got your patch, by all means drop me a mail if you with your map. A lot of people, what they do is they take a photograph of a map that they think is a patch. And we use the Ordnance Survey maps because the Ordnance Survey have been mapping this country for over 400 years. It's easily the best mapping organisation in the world. So if you grab an Ordnance Survey map, and I use a 1 to 25,000, you can get them in WH Smith's or even off the OS website. And it's got an orange cover. So when you've got your map, open it out, have a look, and you can see if you can see those parallel streets. The parallel streets are the terrace houses, 2, 3-bedroom terrace houses. That's where we start the business. So if you open a map of Birmingham, for example, you can get a great, it's like kidding a sweetie shop. There's tons of little patches you can work there. Manchester's got a thriving investor market. There's tons of patches in Manchester because it's a huge city surrounded by the M16, the circular motorway. There's tons. And London, people ask me quite often, can I get B&B in London? Well, it's not actually about B&B. It doesn't have to be because there's all sorts of different types of deals we can do. So we can add value, a value-add deal, or we can use time to turn an asset into a cash-flowing asset. So there's tons of different deals you can do. So start the patch quite small. Don't try and take over the whole city at this point. Nice and small, nice and easy, free research, and then get to work. My name is Mark Ianson, and I'll speak to you soon.